Hi guys, welcome to M&D Made Simple. I'm your host, Coach Alexander. I'm so happy that you've come to this channel. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to this channel because on a regular basis we post updates in relation to monitoring and evaluation. Also, for those of you who are still interested in the 6 months coaching program in M&D, please do well to enroll in it as soon as possible, especially in the month of April because we are running a very good promotion. A huge discount is being given to a number of students who enroll. So please take full advantage of this. Today's video is about the monitoring and evaluation framework template. Okay, how do you build an M&D framework? So there is a template which I'll recommend to you. It's found on the website called the M&D Academy of Excellence website. It's a good website. I want you guys to get to know about this website. It was recently developed so that it can make your life easier when you're doing the things to do with M&D. So now, as you can see in front of you, there's a section. There are different sections that you'll find on this website. But if you come here to the M&D templates, you're going to discover that there's a template both for the M&D plan and also for the M&D framework. Okay, so our area of interest is actually the framework. So you simply just click and then the framework Word document will be downloaded onto your PC. So you open it and what happens next is, so that's the framework template. Okay, so now the framework is actually a matrix. Okay, the way it has been, the format it has been put here is as a document. Okay, but it's not really a document in this form, but it's simply the matrix that you see in front of you. I want to go through this step by step in case of those who are totally new to this. Please, I'll walk you through how this template is used. So now the key actually is when you're developing this kind of thing, the key for you is to know the goal, the outcome, the output, and the indicator. That's the first thing you need to know. And usually these things are found in the logical framework of a project. Okay, that's where you find these things. Now, just for example's sake, I'm going to help you understand this clearer by coming up with a quick framework, and then you'll probably get to know how this is done. So when we talk of a goal is the highest level result that you want to achieve. So let's say your goal is to reduce poverty in a country. I always like to use the word poverty, the poverty example, because it's easy to explain. So let's say your goal is to reduce poverty levels by 15% in Asia. Okay, I don't want to choose any country, but we'll say Asia, or we could have said Africa, since usually these are the areas where poverty is a challenge. Okay, so this is a goal, a long-term goal, and mind you, sometimes the goal is the impact. It's actually the impact sometimes. So now an indicator is simply a measure that is used to give you an idea of whether you are achieving this poverty reduction or not. Okay, so as an indicator, you can say, in order to measure this, okay, you can say percentage of people living in poverty in Asia. Okay, So as you can see, they're saying percentage of people living in poverty in Asia. So what this means is that once you go and collect data, you are going to discover, you are going to calculate the percentage of people who are actually poverty stricken. Now, how do you define this? A definition is, of course, it will say how is it calculated, but it's really asking you to explain what is this? What does this mean? So it's, when you're defining something like an indicator, you need to be clear so that the reader or any person who joins an organization understands clearly how to collect this kind of indicator. So all you say is this is defined as the proportion, usually a percentage is really the proportion of people in Asia living on less than $1 a day. Okay. Okay. That's the I feel that's the universal definition of poverty. Now, when it comes to the baseline, this is where it gets really interesting because the baseline is the benchmark. So the benchmark at the time the project was starting, what were the poverty levels in Asia? Okay, and we can say that the levels of poverty could have been 30%. And always remember that the indicator, if the indicator is in percentage terms, then the baseline and the target should also be in percentage terms. So the current value, the baseline was 30%. And the target, what is the target? Now, to get the target, you can see here that they're saying from the goal, reduce poverty levels by 15% in Asia. So what this means is that this 30% should reduce by 15%. So your target is at the end of the implementation period, the levels of poverty should be 30% minus 15%. Now, what is the answer to that? It's 15%. Okay? I hope this is getting interesting because as you can see, the way I'm doing this, I'm just doing it in a matter of minutes. Now, how is this measured? Okay, so the data source, where will you get this data from? Normally, when you're going to collect this kind of data, you do what are known as surveys. Surveys are good ways to collect data, and it's also good to, you could use other sources of actually, first of all, let me even start by saying survey. You say survey reports, okay? Because really, you are going to look at the reports, and then that's where you derive your data. And you can also use national statistics reports. That's where you can get your data from. Another thing is that how often will this data be collected? Now, it's very interesting because when you look at this indicator, it is really a high level indicator. When you talk of impact, impact doesn't happen. It doesn't happen very quickly. That kind of change doesn't happen very quickly. It will take maybe 3 to 5 years. That's why usually they will do what are known as impact studies. So if you asked me with all due honesty how often this would be collected, it's probably every 3 years, okay? With all due honesty. But if you can afford to do it every year or annually, I don't know if you see change, but because at this level it takes a bit of time. So now the responsible person is the person that will go in to do this data collection, and usually you have maybe an external consultant, okay? Or if your organization uses an M&D officer to do this, you can say M&D officer. But again, because this is a high level indicator, you won't obviously use an M&D officer to do an evaluation because of the issue of biasness. But if for some reason you're doing an internal study, probably you can use an M&D officer. Now, where does this report go? Definitely it will go to the project management team or donors. Okay, so this is how easy it is to come up with the framework metrics at this high level. Now, when you come to the outcome, and mind you, the outcome is also known as the purpose. So what you can do is actually say purpose, and then in brackets you say outcome. Now, so outcome. So you actually, in a project, you can have different number of outcomes. So for example, for you to reduce poverty levels by 15%, maybe the first outcome what you would want to see is increased income levels by members of a community. Okay, that could be your first outcome. But then your second outcome could be that you want also improved food security. Okay, so that could be your outcome. So you find that a project will have different outcomes, but only one impact. So for each of these outcomes, you have an indicator. So let's say increased income levels. How do you measure increased income? I mean, what indicator will you use to measure income? So you simply say amount of income, or you can say level of income. Okay, what can we say? Sometimes these things can, even if I'm online right now and an expert, sometimes these things needs a lot of thinking. Okay, maybe we can say level of income, and then in brackets you put USD, the currency, level of income per household. Okay, that is your indicator. So level of income per household. Then when it comes to improved food security, you can say number of meals eaten per day. Although this indicator, meals per day, is not really accurate because it doesn't really give you the sense of the nutritional content in whatever they're eating. You can be having 3 meals a day, but it doesn't mean you're food secure because the nutrition level may not be adequate. Now, how do you define this? Level of income is simply, this is defined as the amount of, we can say, earnings. I don't like repeating the same word twice. I'm trying to avoid using income. So you can say amount of earnings in a family of 6 people. Okay, you can say that. Amount of earnings in a family of six people or more. Okay, then for meals per day, you can simply say this is defined as the number of, um, to avoid using the same word, what's the synonym for meals? Oh, meal times. Okay, let's just use meals. Number of meals eaten every day that have sufficient nutritional value. Okay, so there you have it. Now, in terms of your target, level of income. So the baseline, when at the time the project is starting, you conduct a survey and you realize that income levels in a family of 6 per month is probably um, okay. Let's say it's probably maybe $25, okay, per month in a family, and meals eaten per day is 1 meal per day. So probably your target could be to have this income, at least if it can reach $50 or $150 per month, okay, in order to remove that poverty and say, okay, 3 meals a day. So now, since the outcome is a high level indicator, you'd expect things to be pretty much the same, except that the outcomes are done when you're doing these surveys, when you're collecting data for outcome level indicators. Usually you can do it annually. It's fine to do it annually because you can actually see change within 12 months. Okay, so now this is in a nutshell, this is how you do develop an M&D framework matrix. The reality is that although it may look this simple, projects can get really complicated. So the key is for you to involve stakeholders in coming up with this matrix. It's usually good to involve stakeholders in coming up with this matrix because then the complicated task of trying to build a matrix of this nature becomes simple because you have involved the stakeholders. So guys, this is all I had for you. But remember, there's the 6 months coaching program. We talk about this, and I really want you to be part of that program. Remember, in the month of April, we are running a good promotion. So I really want you to get in touch with me in case you have that desire to be part of this. Until we meet again, I've been your host, Coach Alexander, and see you on the other side. Bye.